Hey up everybody and welcome back. Well, that was well timed, wasn't it? Alright, so first of all let me apologise for any consternation, well yesterday because today's Monday, of my video not appearing. But I don't know what it was. Normally what I do is I set the video to upload sort of Sunday morning when I get up, and then at lunchtime, see, I've gone very middle class in my old age. I have luncheon at 1 and I have dinner in the evening. But anyway, I upload it in the morning, and then when I go to get my lunch at 1 o'clock, I press the button and publish. Well, for some reason I got involved and I completely forgot to upload it. And when I went to have lunch, I suddenly thought, shoot, it's 1 o'clock and I haven't even done the video yet. So I went up and I set it going. And when it starts to upload, the bottom of the screen, it sort of gives me the percentage that counts up. But also, as soon as it's got a couple of percent to calculate from, it tells me how long it's expecting it to take. Well, it didn't do that. So I went off and I sort of came back. Normally it takes about half an hour, and it wasn't uploaded, so I had to wait even longer. It took about an hour or more to upload, but then it has to process it. It said processing starts soon, and I went back half an hour later. Processing starts to start soon. So I waited a bit, and then I thought, bugger it, something's gone wrong here. So I stopped it, cancelled it, started again. But as soon as it started uploading, I saw it didn't give me that projection for how long it would take, and sure enough it just stuck. So I thought, this is ridiculous, I might as well do it. So this morning I set it going, and sure enough it came up, said 27 minutes to upload. Came back about 45 minutes later and it was all done. And I clicked the button and you got it. So I certainly got one comment straight away to say no video, hope everything's alright, so thank you for that. Anyway, you got your video, and now we're ready to do another one. So today you may hear the AC running. I know it's hot in the UK. It's going to be 96 today and possibly 100 tomorrow, so there might be that noise. Alright, so what else happened? Absolutely nothing. My RockShox came, so I'll put them on, you'll see that in a minute. And I found a little job which I didn't know about, which we will have to do. So I think we'll start off with that little job. Then we'll do the footrests. Actually, since there's no engine work, we're really well on. I've got to put the mudguards on, which is minor. As I said, the big job is going to be to make the tank. But I think before the end of this week, because the footrest and the mudguards and bits, minor bits and pieces, this other job, as I mentioned, won't take long. I'll probably do the bit of wiring there is. I might even rig up a temporary fuel supply and see if this will start. Put some oil in. I think it says 1040. Oh, it doesn't say. Somewhere I thought I saw it say 1040. I'll check anyway. So we will press on. I don't know whether to take this frame to be sandblasted or not. Might just give it a good rub down. And we're going to do it the silvery grey colour. Here's the lorry. Alright, so anyway, you'll notice it's down because I wanted to see. It is very small. We knew the wheelbase was, oh dear. We knew the wheelbase was short, but I'm surprised at how compact it is. And of course, don't forget, I haven't actually modified the frame. This is the physical size that it would be if it had the Bultaco in or whatever, and all the Sammy Miller bits on it. We haven't altered the length of the frame or the swinging arm or anything. The forks aren't particularly back in the yokes. I don't know, I mean at the most we'd maybe get another inch, if that, and it would still be short. So anyway, let me stop blathering on and I'll show you this first unexpected job. Right, I thought before I pumped it up I'd let you see it standing down so you can see the rock shocks, and you won't be able to see all of me, but just to give you some idea of the size. I mean, you know, very compact. Can't decide whether to use you may remember from a while back I ordered these by mistake. I didn't notice they were the short mudguard, so I had to order a long one, front mudguard, so I ordered a long one as well. Don't know. Anyway, that's what it looks like down on its wheels. So let me jack it up and then I will show you this job, which has to do with the rear suspension units. Right then, this is our problem, which is caused by advances in suspension unit technology. I'd have to look at the pictures, but I'm presuming that when this Sammy Miller frame was designed, they were still using the Girling type units, and of course the Girling units, the spring only goes to about here because the actual damping body is at the bottom, and the damping body is quite narrow, certainly a lot narrower than the spring part. There's the damping body, and then there's a like collet thing, and then there's the spring goes on. Here of course spring goes all the way at the bottom, so if we put this on to simulate the chain, it's not quite touching, but it's very close. And although there isn't really any whip in the top run of the chain, because the top run of the chain is being pulled, it's sort of under tension from the engine pulling on it. It's the bottom that can whip around because that's got the tension released. That's a bit close for comfort. So I'll show you what we're going to do. Now the unit goes onto a stub, top and bottom, rather than being in between plates. This is the one out of the four where I couldn't get the bolt out, it snapped, so I've drilled it. So I've actually just arrived this morning. I've got a helicoil kit to do this, so we'll helicoil that. But what I'm going to do is make 2 1/4-inch pieces, same diameter as that, top and bottom, and we'll put them on and hold them on with a bolt and then I'll weld them and just extend this stub 1/4 inch. And then we can move that out and just give me that little bit of peace of mind for the chain. Alright, so let's take this off, do that helicoil, and then I'll turn up 2 small pieces to go on there. We won't weld them on now. I'll weld them on when I've got the frame all dismantled. The bolt will hold them on and we can see where everything goes. So let's do that. Alright, so I drilled it out actually fractionally larger than the drill bit they give me for that. So we don't need to drill that out, we can just tap it. I'm not going to use any tapping oil because I'm going to Loctite it in. And I don't have to worry particularly how much thread there is. Don't forget the bolt's not holding this on. All the strength is in the stub that it goes on. The bolt's just to stop it coming off. It's a little bit like the gearbox sprocket. you know, the nut there isn't really holding it on, it's just stopping it from coming off. So we'll oh, you can get that to go all the way. Use it in the top bit. Might have to use the smaller holder. No, that's all right. That's one off to the side. I don't know how people just put taps in and they go in dead straight. Wherever possible, I like to do them in the mill so that I can just have the mill holding the tap perpendicular to the table. Oh, that's cutting a good thread. We're all right. Because this is a slightly loose tapping drill size, we're not having any problem with any build up to have to be backing the tap up. Right, so that's that, and that will be a nice clean thread. As I say, that's why I didn't use any cutting oil. Yes, that looks fine. Right, mind your eyes. I can't leave the airpiece in because the this bit, I don't know whether it's where I get them from, but they don't last too long before they start leaking, and then that means the compressor's forever coming on. Okay, so hey, that's disappeared. Good job, I got plenty. I've got millions of these things now, and of course I'll never use them again, being they're metric. But for those of you who don't know, there's a little slot there, a little tang on this. It goes on there like that, and then we're going to screw it in. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use red Loctite because I don't ever expect to have to get this to come out. And that goes in there, like so. Right, and then I'm just getting a bit of towel. I'm going to let that to set up just to be on the safe side, but then it generally comes with another little thing. You bang that in and the tang breaks off, because these things are brittle. If they don't go in right, they're a bugger. Actually, come to think of it, when I might just tack weld this. because I don't want to heat this too much, it'll break down the Loctite. Anyway, so let me turn up 2 1/4-inch pieces. Okay, I've got you a bit close up on this so that you can see what I'm doing. It struck me if I was going to extend this 1/4 inch to move the suspension unit out 1/4 inch, I had to pack it up at the back 1/4 inch also. So there's that there like that. Obviously I made one for the bottom. That is going on there like that. I also discovered that when I drilled that bolt out, it's fractionally off the centre. So what I did was, although I drilled the bottom one to 6mm, I drilled this one to 1/4 inch just to give me a little bit of play, and then when I weld it on we can do it right. So that, you see, go in there like so. I have to do these excuse me, fender washers as they're called. Those of you who've watched for a while know I made a little press to dome them, so I've got to do that. So that is on there like that. Let me put this bottom one on. Okay, so there's that on. Let's go around the back end. Well, it looks as if that did the trick, doesn't it? So, on that sprocket, that goes on there. Oh, that's just nice. Just nice. Okay, so that's that job done. Let's look at the footrests. Right, well, I thought I'd save a few bob here, and instead of buying the modern alloy ones, I'd modified these. I think as well I could just about fit the modern alloy ones. They're about wide enough there, but there wasn't quite enough room underneath. I was going to have to grind a lot of the alloy off, and because that would be where I'd ground it off would be where it was pulling, so I didn't like that idea. So anyway, this is exactly the same dimension as the modern ones that I buy. So as you can see, this was an experiment to see if it'll work. I didn't make it quite long enough. I got this is right, but they should have been, as you can see, a little bit longer. Also, I found when I welded this here, see it looks a bit nasty. That's because you can see the white in there. This of course is bronzed on. And there was enough bronze that when I started to weld it, it sucked up the bronze into the weld and it got nasty and what have you. So anyway, how do we make it like that? Well, some of you might have seen me making the ones on B44, and a couple of people whose bikes I'd worked on that wanted serrated type footrest. What we'll do is with a cutting disc we'll cut little teeth into this. So what's that in my pocket? Oh, safety glasses. What was I saying? So what I did was I wanted to make, for the other ones, I'd made a little press to put that in. So I did the same here, I'll show you in a moment. So the way it's in is it's just below the level of the footrest, the original footrest, so that when I put the teeth in and your boot sinks on it a bit, your boot is going to be sitting on this as well as on this. So what did we need? Well, these were, hang on a second, excuse me, basically 2.5 inches wide, right, and it's 1/8 inch. So found a piece of box section which has got my it's 2.25 inches, actually 2.25 inches, then 2 thicknesses of 1/8, is makes it down to 2 inches. So I then got a piece of 2-inch box section and a piece of 2-inch round. So you see that goes in there like that. The reason it's loose, of course, is because... So we cut a piece of our 1/8 inch, we put it on there in its appropriate position. That's what these little black marks are about. Actually, that's the other way around. There's a little black mark there that lines up, so that's everything centered. If I was doing more of these, I'd make this with guides. I'd have little guides at each side to position that in the middle, then I'd have guides to hold that. So anyway, that goes in. Let's say that black mark was the center. That goes on there, and then it pushes in, and when it pushes in, of course, it forms it around that. Then we have to fold the ends over. Now, I can't fold the ends over before I form it. Well, I could actually, if I made this piece exactly the same size as that, right? Then when we were finished, I could fold them over, but I hadn't. So what I did there on this one was I put a cut in to allow me to fold it, and then these will get welded up. They'll be nice and strong. So that piece was 7 inches. So I guess I need another 1/4 inch each side. So if we cut a piece 7.5 inches long and bend it in the middle, we should be all right. So let me cut a piece of this, and then we'll put it in the press, and I'll show you the bending. So there we are in. I checked that that's square with the box. You're slightly at an angle, so there's a little parallax error, but all the black lines mark up, line up. All the black marks line up. That's it. Now we just apply a little bit of hydraulic pressure . And the reason it isn't just a round piece being pressed in is because I want it to go flat after the round part. Actually, when I made these with the other one, where I had several footrests to do, what I would do is, as I say, it was made so it was just the length for the fold over pieces, and then I would take it out and hold it in the vise like that, and then I could fold the pieces over. But seeing as I'm only doing 2 of these, well, I suppose I could start making my own footrests, couldn't I? There we go. Let's get to the bottom, I think. Right, so let's take that out and see how it looks to the footrest. So I thought I'd get this footrest off ready to check with the piece we just bent. And the nut is bronzed on this side. Would not budge, the bolt. So I put the impact wrench on it. It actually broke the bronze. And just looking in the back, hang on, let me get a torch. This might be too bright a light for you to see. I'm not sure. Let me bring you right in. Can't really see it, but this cross piece is completely rotted away on the back. This piece of cross tube here, because this, of course, is the one that's really badly. So I don't know what caused this side to rust so much. Anyway, I'm going to have to cut this nut off to get this out. So let me do that. So there's the footrest I just took out. You can see it's just rotted away there. And funnily enough, the mounting part isn't bad. The back is, as we already know. So I'm going to have to remake that.
You can see there, look, that it was already starting to sag. Somebody's built it up so that the footrest hadn't gone down too much. So there's that. All right. Pop, 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 pop. Let me get this out of here. Oh, I know, hang on. See, it still springs out a bit. Doesn't matter what you do. Steel's a bloody nuisance. Let me get that piece around and... Right. Still more. Come on. Okay. That'll do. Okay. So that fits on that, so that came out just the same. Then what we want to do is mark this and then bend them in, and seeing as we're going to be redoing this a bit, what's that, 3/4 inch tube? Yeah, so I've got 3/4 inch. Actually, I've got some 3/4 inch slightly thick walled 41, 40, whatever it is. So I'll take this piece off, remake that completely, and we'll weld it up. And I think I'm getting hungry, and finding that like that is annoying. Now, I've already done one of these, but I thought I'd show you anyway. So all I'm going to do is, on my marks, get set and go. Which we're going to cut about halfway through. If you're wondering why I'm doing this, it's just to make it easier. I know where the things are, rather than trying to fit pieces on. We know it's only very lightly held, but it's almost the equivalent of sort of clamping it while I weld it. Just keep an eye on it so you don't sew too far through. And then tap it round the last bit because I can't get the spanner in, excuse me. See, and that just holds them in place. And now I can weld them up and then we can make the centerpiece. Just show you this, might as well, it's the last little bit. So, just right. See, that's going to go on there like that. And it's a bit down here to make it clear of the mounting piece. We'll put that in there, weld it up. Alright, so there we have all the bits. Cross piece to go there, that piece to go on there, that piece will go in there, and you see that's just the right size. That goes in there like that, like that. That goes across the end. And that will make it just like that. Now you'll notice that this isn't on the end, right? So when we weld this on here, we don't want to weld it on there, we want to weld it up there like that. I've got to cut that at a bit of an angle, see, because that's for it to pivot into the thing. So let me get that shape there transferred to this, and then we'll get that welded on. I think I'll weld it rather than bronze it. I'm going to do the cutout for the little cross piece with this. It's a 1/2 inch in from the end to cut. We're going to cut in 3/8. So well, I've set the DRO, once I touch off we'll go in 3/8. Just had a little bit of brain fade there and I pressed the record button again, but of course I was already recording, wasn't I? And that will be just right for that, which it is. See, spot on nice. Okay, let's get this out and get stuff ready to start welding. So there's the old one, there's the new one. Right, now then if I put this here like that, or like that, you'll notice that that's at an angle. That's because the footrests, that's the right hand one, that's made so when that's nice and level, if it gets hit it flicks up. It doesn't flick straight up, because of course hitting something that way, if it was just wanting to go that way, would bend it, so it's at an angle. So that's what we've got to do with this. We've got to put that in there so that is at a suitable angle. So the best way for me to do that is to take this, put it on the bike, put that on, and put a clamp on it to hold it. So let me give this a sandblast. There's no bronze on this now, so it'll be easier to weld. Alright, so I put this in there and clamped it. Now I've tacked it there. That goes in there like thusly. That is nice and level. So that is going to go around there like that. Okay, and that will be our footrest. And then, as I say, it's back a bit. This is going to be pulled round. We've got to do that repair, but we'll do all of that, the bending of those and everything, when we're doing the final bronzing and stuff, and just the frame is over on the welding bench. So let me get this welded onto there. Now I've got some minor bits and pieces to do. I'll put a little piece in there, but that's that all welded up, and some grips ground into it. So there's that. So the other thing it needs, of course, is its spring. Now these didn't, as I said, they're like the B25, B50. Instead of having a a torsion spring anyway, I was going to say a hairpin valve spring, but it's not. A torsion spring in there. What they have is they have a spring that goes inside. It hooks onto there, and it hooks onto, can't remember where now, but anyway, it pulls it down. It's not a hugely strong spring, but it does the job. So we're looking to get something like that a little bit later on. Other than that, that's fine. I mean, they're a bit heavier than the alloy ones, but that will work fine. And as I say, you can see it's backwards a little bit, so when we pull this plate round and repair the plate, same on the other side, it'll be sticking out straight. Everything will be fine. Okay. Oh, it's gone 4 o'clock. Mad hot outside. It was 90 when I finished my lunch. So that'll do for the day. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Good morning. Right. As you will be able to see, your finger marks on it. I put the front mud guard on. I was just fiddling this morning as it came in. Also, it's a strange thing that happens with you on your side of the camera and me on this side. I think it's because we're of a similar mind. But the number of times that I'll do something, and by the time you get to see it and make your comments, I've thought exactly the same thing that you do. It's happened again. Let me swing you round. There's only one comment, but it was the way my mind was going. Hang on, hold on. I think I can bring you in close enough. I wasn't happy with that that bracket. It looked big and clunky and nasty, but it's about the only place I could put it sensibly. So I've shaped it a bit, and I don't know what's going on with this alloy, because it's all new alloy, but I kept getting dirt in it. You can see I could not get a good ripple. I mean, it's nicely welded, but so anyway, I did that. So that's on. Now then, what we're going to do today, you know, I've got a bunch of little jobs to do. Hang on, let me pull you back out. You ready? I'm going to move you. I stuck the coil on. There's a handy mount there. And I think I'm going to do the wiring. Fancy doing something different today. It's hot again, and my little AC by yesterday afternoon was barely able to keep up. It was 80, I think, in here. I mean, it was 90 something outside. But so we're going to look at the wiring, how to mount the CDI box and what these wires mean. I've got some information off the internet, so let's look at that. Because one of the shortcomings of the engine is it doesn't come with any information. And although I found a lot of stuff about the sort of laid down engine, I didn't find very much about the vertical one. But the CDI seem to have 6 or 8 wires. So I got a 6-wire one. I hope it's the right one. I mean, it was cheap. So there's the 6 connections. So obviously if I bought a wiring harness, I might be able to get the wiring harness with the plugs on and everything, but I don't want, even though I guess a wiring harness would be cheap, but so I found some where are they? What have I done with them? In my various things, I found some little spade connectors that do fit on there, so I can make up some wiring. And I found some information, and there's another little bit. Alright, so we're going to try and sort this out, this wiring. And I've also, it's got one of those rubber straps on with the things where you push it onto the mounting. So I'm going to make a mounting up that goes into both of these. And then I think what I'm going to do then is make it so that it fits up. Oh, it fits up into the front gusset plates on the frame. I had another comment about the frame and how in the day they were noted for not being very strongly built. It's all hearsay, I suppose, but that particular commenter meant that, you know, he had friends who'd had arguments with Sammy Miller about warranty claims, and apparently Mick Whitlock, who made the frames, who is a, you know, I mean, there's the White Hawk frames, he's a brilliant frame maker, he wouldn't warranty the frames. So I think he knew that they weren't very well, they were maybe fine design, but not material specification. So anyway, let's have a look at mounting this thing first, I think. Alright, so what I found out from various other things was that to the ignition coil there's a green and there's a black and yellow. And the ignition coil that came with this CDI has a green and a black and yellow wire on it. So green, for some unknown reason, is the earth, is the ground, as it would say here. So the black and yellow obviously is the power into the coil, green going to earth. Now then, to the CDI box we should have a black and red, a blue and white and a green, which we know is earth. And at the kill switch there should be a green and a black and yellow. It didn't come with a kill switch, so I'm going to take this to be earth, and it'll be a black and white on the switch, right? So what have we got? Well, these were the colours that are in the wire. So black and red, we do have a black and red. Blue and white, we do have a blue and white. Now my thinking was, when I take the cover off, you may remember actually that there's the lighting coils, there is one coil, one generator coil, which is different to all the rest. I'm assuming that is the ignition generator coil. And I would also assume, working from the Electrics world, has 2 wires that come out. One, and they go to the CDI box. One is power and one is pulse. So I'm assuming this is the same. Right? The electrics world has the power part built into that little black box that's on the mounting inside the chain case. So, turn you around, make sure you see. These are those 4 and a 2. So the 2 bottom ones, I've also found this diagram. The 2 bottom ones are go to earth. The information I found said the flywheel pickup should be blue and white. So I've got a blue and white wire coming out of there, okay? Black and yellow goes to the ignition coil, right? So that's fine. Black and white will say is going to go, the kill switch is off that, and this one is black and red. So we do have that wire, and we do have that wire coming out of the generator. So I don't think it's going to be that difficult to wire up. All the other wiring is just redundant. So it's a shame we've got to have the weight and the wire and the size of the generator and everything. Alright, so the next thing to do is to find somewhere to mount this because it's looking awkward. So let me show you. So I always like to mount these up here by the headstock, you know, sort of safely out the way under the tank. Sometimes they actually even fit in there. But this one, because of the way the wires are, it's a bit awkward. You see where it's got to fit on the tangs, it's got to go. I was hoping to be able to put a piece in here with 2 tangs on, just push it on. I mean, I can still do that, but as you see, this sticks right out this side. Now what I'm thinking is, I'm not using a socket to go into this. This thing sticks out a lot. I could actually cut this down to half its size. Or the other thing I was thinking is I could make a piece that goes into there with the tangs that way on, so I could push it on. Thing is, I don't want it to wobble too, although there's the rubber, it doesn't really matter. And that's about alright. I think that's the way we've got to do it. So we'll make a piece with tangs that come across the frame and that can bolt in there, so it's going to be sort of L-shaped. Alright, let me go and look into some material. This is, I would think 16th would fit into there. Alright, so I think that'll work. Let me go and look for some stock that'll suit. Alright, so this is what I have come up with. So that goes there. I wanted it to be both sides of it. And that is going to bolt into there like thus. Okay, so that's a little bit higher. We'll have all the wires up nicely out of the way under the tank, because the tank's going to come to about there. I could put it on the other way up, I suppose, like that. Doesn't really matter. This is the flatter side. That side's got a couple of ripples in it. Let's turn this the other way up. It's a good tight fit. I've got to use a screwdriver to get it started. So yeah, that's good. Alright, So let me drill a hole there and mount this, and then we can look at some wires. Because, see, I don't mind having it up here even though the wires are going to be back there, because there's only got to be 2 to go to it from there, hasn't there? Yeah. See, there's only got to be 2 to it. There's the generator coil going to go to the bottom one of those 2, and then the input to that. So I've only got to run 2 wires up here, because the other one, see, the ignition coil is going to go right to the ignition coil, kill switch is going to go to kill switch, and the earths are just going to go to the earth. We'll run them down as usual and mount them to the engine. Alright, let me drill a hole and mount this. So there's that bolted on there. That's nice. We'll put a lock nut on the back when we finish off. Alright, let's look at some wires. So I've got it all wired up as per what I'd found. And I'm not getting a spark. I've got those 2 wires coming up to here, from the generator. Hopefully 1 power, 1 ignition pulse. I've got the earths in. I've got the ignition coil wired in. Nothing. So I'm going to go and take the side off the stator there to check that the 2 wires I'm using are the ones I think they are. Right, so let's got that off. Hang on, I'm just walking round. And of course you can't see any of the colours. Let's check to see what you can see. What can you see? Yeah, I'm going to take this off. Let's see what the wires are on that. Oh, what did they put these in with? God! They're Loctite or something. So maybe I'm not going to take that off. Maybe we're going to poke and look and see if we can spot something. Thought it was all going too easily. Let's see if this stator will come off. At least they expect you to be able to take that off at some point. I still can't see much inside there. I'm taking you right out of the picture, I presume. can't get to see what any of these wires are. See, I'm pretty sure that that is the ignition coil, that these are the lighting coils. I can see the ends of a couple of the wires, so let me see if I can, by a process of elimination, find out which of the two wires I want. Right, I think I found the answer, but like deep thought, I don't know what the question is. So I found the pink and the yellow, and they seem to go to these coils. So I'm thinking this here, definitely the red and black is the one from this coil. But what I've managed to see is that there are two wires from the pickup. The blue and white, which is what I thought, and the green and white. So I'm presuming, as I say, the answer is the green and white wire. But the question is, what does the green and white wire do? So I'm going to have to look up how these CDI things work, how the pickup works. So let me put this back together and put it on there, because we're not going to touch anything in here. And then I'll have to go and do some, time is it? Just gone 3 o'clock. I'll have to go and do some internet searching. So if there's two wires coming from, I wonder if one of those wires, if the green and white goes to earth, what else could it go to? We've got the red and black's taking the power into the CDI unit. We've got earth's coming out the CDI unit. We've got the pulse, we think, going into the CDI unit. Do you know what? I wonder if that one, that diagram on the sort of pickup side of the CDI unit isn't for the kill switch, but isn't earth. Alright, let me put this together and go and see what I can find out. Don't worry, we haven't had a blackout, but we're going to finish the week with a little, hang on, it's difficult getting on the camera here, a little success. Alright, so that wasn't sparking all over the place. It was when I was doing the kickstart, the bike was moving around. So we have got spark. So what happened? Well, let me move you slightly, because two things happened. Oh, and you're out of focus, look. Oh dear. Alright, I could not find a wiring diagram that showed a green and white cable wire. I did find a little YouTube video where a fellow was wiring up one of these 6-pin things, and it turns out that the two earths shouldn't be sort of pigtailed together. One earth goes to earth, and the other earth, which is this one here, goes to the coil. So we have one coil wire going in, one coil wire coming out. So I did that. Then I've just asked the question on the internet, CDI pickup with two wires, and that new little AI thing in Google came up and said some pickups have two wires, the pulse blue and white, or blue, well, we have a blue and white one, and an earth green or green and white. So the green and white I brought up to here and wired in to the earth. Bingo, got a spark. So I've tidied the wiring up a little bit. I have one wire to put in here on the other side, which will go to the kill switch when I get the kill switch, because that's what threw me a little bit. You see, normally the kill switch goes to this one on the coil. Well, no, it does go to the black, and there is a black and white that comes out of the box, I think. Yeah, on the Electrics World. Anyway, it's all sorted and it works. So that's going to be it for this week, and the sprocket has just arrived. Must be a different UPS driver because mine normally comes in the workshop and leaves it for me. This fella, another one of these morons, left it leaning against the outside of the workshop, which is only 20 feet away from the main road, and in a a paper sort of envelope, and it's due to rain today. I don't know, any road up. That's it for this week. So until next week, you stay safe and enjoy yourselves.